Hi, this is the discussion for Water by the Spoonful. I'm going to try to make this one really short, but I've already done like five and they've all been super long. Sorry. So I have my notes in front of me. I'm going to do questions 3 and 4. So I'm going to focus on two characters for each. I'm going to do Elliot and Yaz and Orangutan and Shoots and Ladders, respectively. So for Elliot, I think that his identity is so focused on his time in the military and his identity as a veteran, and that gets shown when he is getting the Arabic phrase repeated to him constantly, especially towards the end when I think largely a lot of the characters have kind of gone through their whole arc at this point, but he still has this reminder of war and trauma personified by the ghost repeating the phrase, which in the beginning on page 11 is revealed to just mean, "Can I please have my passport back?" I think that his identity as a veteran is juxtaposed with his identity just as a guy. Like when he's doing the ad for toothpaste, and he does that in Spanish. And I think that when he's asked which language he speaks, he says Spanglish. So he's very confident in his identity as a Puerto Rican, and he doesn't really seem to struggle with being Puerto Rican and being American, or being Puerto Rican and anything else. But he really does struggle with being a civilian now. I guess he's still a veteran. He struggles with not being constantly in a fight or flight mode. And I think that that gets juxtaposed really well with Yaz, who has never been to war, and she also is a professor at Swarthmore. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's fine. Which is a prestigious and predominantly white school. And I think that that is put against her Puerto Rican origins purposefully, especially when she mentions the Steinway piano. And I think that that kind of serves as a symbol, that's on page 33, by the way. That serves as a symbol of the emotional burden and then kind of the financial burden, although she's doing much better financially than another character like Elliot. She's doing better, but there's still a disconnect between what she thinks she should be doing as a Puerto Rican and what she is doing. For instance, the man that she gets a divorce from, he's white. He has Quaker Oats for DNA. That's on the same page as 33. That's all 33. And that just highlights her discomfort with the white world, the old-fashioned white world that her financial and what is that word? Financial and educational success has thrust her into. And I think that seeing her on one side to her students as this put together teacher, and then on the other side with Elliot as someone who's kind of profane and provocative, I think that contrasts her character very well, and it makes her seem very deep and personable in a way that I think is really, really interesting and compelling. And then for question 4, for Orangutan, I'm going to call them Orangutan and Shoots and Ladders. I have their names. I just think of them as Orangutan and Shoots and Ladders. So I think Orangutan is probably my favorite character in the entire play. I think that's because she's the most vibrant character outwardly in that we get to meet. And I think her character is also not necessarily centered on her addiction. It is obviously a big part of her character, but we get a lot more of her identity through her attempts to find where she came from and who she is, and that gets shown. I'm trying not to say it. That gets shown on page 63 when she reveals that she went to Japan to find her birth parent, and that I think shows that regardless of, she would be doing this if she were an addict or not. And I think that that's a really cool message, because people who struggle with addictions are more than people who struggle with addictions. They have hobbies and wants and needs that are completely outside of that addiction. And I think that on top of that, we get her relationship with Odessa and her relationship with Shoots and Ladders. And I think that that helps to humanize her even more, because she's witty and smart and funny in those scenes where she's just talking to people. And those bonds are formed because yes, because she was an addict, but it's genuine human connection that was as a result of that addiction. And I think that that is somewhat powerful in showing that despite the damage that addiction can do, there is a lot of good it can do for the person. I don't know if that's the thing I want to be saying, but um, the that a person can make good out of the hand that they were dealt. I think that that's a really thing to be telling.